Hello, Moxie ladies. I am Cheryl Kaiser, your Moxie Empowerment Coach. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about a voice inside of us that I call the saboteur. Now, the saboteur is the person, or in our case, part of us that causes sabotage. And it's the sabotage of our Moxie. Now, we each have a different Moxie personality, and it's across the spectrum of whether we're outgoing and bold and fiery, or maybe an inner silent strength and Moxie. So we're all different, but I believe at different points in our lives and different circumstances, we bring forth a different type of Moxie that may not always be part of our regular personality. And the saboteur is a little part of us that works really hard to sabotage our Moxie and keep us from being really the person that we're meant to be. Now, the word sabotage, I looked it up, and the word sabotage means an act or process tending to hamper or hurt, and deliberate subversion. The saboteur, of course, is the person, or usually a person, that causes the sabotage. And that would be our little inner saboteur. So if you have ever heard yourself say, I stand in my own way, I know I've said it a million times over the years, and most of my friends have said something to that effect as well. Well, I believe that I'm standing in my own way is really our saboteur at work. Now, let me explain. I believe how it starts, and this isn't to be confused with the impostor, all right? They're similar, but they're cousins. They're not really the same. I believe the saboteur starts maybe when we're on the playground as a kid and we're teased because we don't have the right clothes, or maybe whatever, fill in the blank. I think we've all been teased on the playground in some form or another. And I think it kind of starts there. And then somehow we believe in our young minds that, well, that must be true because that's what everybody's telling me. Everybody's teasing me about the same thing, so it must be true. And somehow, as some kind of warped truth, we hang on to that. And as we grow older, then I believe we tend to set ourselves up to prove that correct. So if someone tells you when you're a kid, oh, you'll never do that, you're not smart enough. And you're like, oh, in that case, you tried something and you were embarrassed, and somehow your embarrassed mind says you're not smart. All right. The saboteur is starting to grow. Okay. So, you kind of hang on to that. And it's all these little things like that build up. And from when we're a kid to a teenager and all the things we go through, it adds up. And that saboteur's voice gets a little bolder each time. And then suddenly we're convincing ourselves, well, I'll never be able to do that. I'm too tall, fat, short, skinny, however. Okay, whatever the situation is, you convince yourself you're not going to be able to do it. And that's probably the furthest thing from the truth. So what I want to do is teach you to understand and hear when you're hearing that little voice and have an answer for it. Because you can speak in your Moxie voice louder than a saboteur. Because as we've gotten older, that saboteur's voice has gotten louder. Do you know what I'm talking about? I mean, is yours growing louder as time has gone on? And I believe then that at a certain point, we're not even the women that we know we can be. And I think if you're here in this Moxie sisterhood with me, there's probably some part of you that knows, I know I can be bolder. I know I can do more. I'm just not smart enough, not worthy enough. I'm afraid, whatever. Okay. And that's a saboteur's voice. And like I said, it's different from the imposter's voice, and they're slightly different. Anyway, what I want to teach you today is that you can do this. And I want to hear you right now say, I'm going to step out of my way by silencing the saboteur. Okay, I don't hear you. I want to hear it. All right, so I'm going to talk about 8 points. And those 8 points, the first one we'll start with is the victim. Okay, if you ever hear yourself saying, it's not my fault, I didn't do it. Okay, so there you can do it kiddingly and it's a joke. But there are people out there, you may know one of them, that will not own up to anything. It's not their fault. All right, they're playing the victim. And that's somewhere in there is a saboteur's voice that that person was blamed for something. And it's possible, you know, now there are victims, okay? And I'm not, you know, terrible things happen and we all can be victims truly. But I'm talking about in the Moxie sense, in a not owning something sense, okay? And in that case, I believe that it's not only a victim, it makes us a coward if we're not going to own up to it. And so if you hear yourself or someone, you know, saying something like that, don't think of yourself as a victim, but as a Moxie woman. Own up to it and just admit it and move on, okay? The second one are excuses. Now, if you hear yourself saying, oh, I can't do that, I could never do that, you know what? Get rid of the excuses. You can or you can't. You know, you can if you want to, or you don't want to. So don't say you can't, because you can, you're choosing not to. Maybe for a good purpose, but whether, you know, it's, you know, you can't do something, maybe it's the other answer is really not at this time. Or maybe it's not your, you know, this wouldn't be the best choice for me right now. Maybe another time. Or I'm really not interested, but thank you for thinking of me. Okay. And I believe when we cave in and to our excuses, we end up overwhelmed. And that's a different point. So have an answer for something instead of making an excuse. Okay. Own up to the fact that you don't want to go to the gym because you're tired and you need a rest. And that's acceptable. Okay. Feelings. Our feelings will lead us astray every time. And you know what? We're human. We're never going to feel like anything. I don't feel like going to the gym. You noticing a theme here about everything's about the gym. But you know, I don't feel like getting up early. I don't feel like, okay, well, none of us feel like doing anything. You know, we don't feel like making dinner, but we do. And so our feelings and our human nature will always cause us to find the road to a path of least resistance. That's what I'm trying to say. The path of least resistance. Okay. So if we had our way, we would lay on the couch and watch TV all day. But we don't. So don't let your feelings control, because when that little saboteur's voice back there is going, you're really tired, you really don't feel like it, speak louder. You know it. You'll never regret doing what you know you need to do, but you will regret not doing what you know you need to do. I heard that the other day. I like that. The fourth point is what I call the vision problem. Oh, you know, I just can't see myself doing that. I just can't see this working. I call that a vision problem. And you know what? It's usually code for negativity and probably maybe even jealousy. I don't know. Could be, it's code for a lot of things. And so if you're having a vision problem, do a quick stop check, because usually it's in a negative manner, and try to look at it from a different perspective. And I'll give you a little example. I was in a meeting a long time ago. I was on a board and I moved through all the different positions on the board and was then immediate past president. And there was a whole new group of people on the board, and they were talking about an event, and they were all excited about it. And in my mind, I was like, we tried that 5 years ago and that just so didn't work. I just can't see that working. And I caught myself and I realized, you know what? This is a different time, different group of people, and it may work. So if you start having a vision problem, hold it in a different light. Look at it. It's different now. Maybe it will work, or I'll try and help make it work. Okay. So if you're, you know, hold a different perspective, different vision for it. And I know that will help change how loud your Moxie voice can be. Reluctance is another point. And I believe that that's fear's baby sister. Okay. Reluctance is like, oh, I don't know. I'm a little nervous about it. Okay. Just do it. You know what? If you're afraid of failing or being embarrassed or anything like that, look at it this way. And here's another vision thing. Look at it in a positive light. It'll give you a great story. It'll give you bragging rights for how not to do something maybe. Or it'll give you bragging rights because you accomplished something you never imagined you'd be able to. Okay? Because we are able to do so much more than we give ourselves credit for. So you're going to surprise yourself. So get past the ego and just do what it is you know you need or want to do. Okay? No reluctance. Just full bore. Go. The next one's trust. If you can't trust yourself to do the right thing or make the right decision or to be accountable to going to the gym or getting up early or something, find someone to keep you accountable or call me, because that's what I do best. And I'll help you past a lot of these points and help you be on your way to be your most Moxie self and to figure out what's next for your life, your career, your business. And then finally, overwhelm. Okay, overwhelm will cause that saboteur's voice to grow louder. Okay, because we tend to just, I think, give up and then do nothing because we're so overwhelmed. And so take a look, if you're feeling overwhelmed, take a look at what's going on in your life. Are you doing too much? Are you telling yourself you can't do something? Are you reluctant about something? Are you not using your best yes? And by that, I mean, are you saying yes to something that is not in your wheelhouse of being good at? Or maybe it's really something that someone else would be blessed by doing. So, and then there's the superwoman. We've all heard of this, the superwoman syndrome, where we're trying to do everything to everybody. So the antidote to that is empower others. Empower your kids to have the responsibility to clean up the dishes after dinner or to walk the dog, or empower an employee to take on more responsibilities. Hire a virtual assistant to help you with responsibilities that really you should not be doing, because if it's your business, you know, in your business, you should be making great business decisions. You shouldn't be doing something trivial that can easily be handled by someone else. Okay, so these are all little things that will lead to overwhelm, will lead to all the other points that I made about the saboteur's voice. And so when you start hearing these different little things, be aware of the saboteur's voice. Be aware of what's happening and how it's holding back your Moxie. And then I want you to use one of these antidotes, and I want to hear that Moxie voice louder than a saboteur's voice. Because once you know what the saboteur's voice sounds like, I know you can kick it. And I want to hear your Moxie voice, because when your Moxie voice is loud and clear, baby, you are out there and you will nail whatever it is you set your mind to. Okay, because that's who you were born to be. We are all given Moxie strength, and it's just in us. So it's up to us to make sure we're not hearing the saboteur's voice that's holding us back. Okay, and if you need any kind of assistance with that, if you go to sessionwithcheryl.com and click on Chat with Cheryl, it'll set up a little appointment for you. We can talk about what it is you're working on, what you're struggling with, what you're looking for next in your life or your business or your career, and I would be thrilled to work with you.